Welcome back to Two and a Half Chicks. On today's show, we are talking about sex conversations, or the talk, the proverbial birds and the bees. We talk about how our parents approached this with us, whether there was sex shaming, whether they had no conversation at all, or whether there were open conversations, and how in some cases the ability to talk to our parents changed as we got older. And then in turn, how did we handle with our kids? Are you talking to kids as a step-parent? What if you're dating a person with kids? We also cover if we'd rather deal with it head-on or sweep it under the carpet. Join us today with a guest as we talk about our experiences, how they shaped us, and how we're passing this info on to younger generations. Two and a Half Chicks is back, and today we have a guest with us again. We got me, Tess, we got Monica, and Brian. Hey! And we have a guest with us today, Bobby, and I'm going to throw it over to Bobby to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bobby. I actually used to work with Brian and Monica, and Brian was my boss, actually. And honestly, what I could say is who you are on this podcast is who you are everywhere else. Like, it's just what you get from Brian is exactly what. Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
No dual personas there, huh?
No, God, no. Nope.
So tell us a little bit more about yourself. You have the Bobby Burns B Squared podcast,
Yep,
which I listen to all the time, and you have the beautiful producer / fiance Michelle, who I absolutely love.
She's actually in the bedroom right now. She was gonna sit out here, and I'm like, it's up, and then she's like, I'll just go in there. So she's probably sleeping by now. Honestly, she came out 20 minutes ago to grab the charger, and I haven't heard her since. So she's probably fell asleep already. I have stepchildren. Aubrey is 10 and Nathan is 9, and they're awesome. It's nice and quiet and everything. So
cool. That's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you with us.
Well, thank you.
Today, we're going to talk, we're going to shock you. We're going to talk about sex again.
I thought this was like a Christianity podcast.
Wrong door.
That's right.
Mind blow. All right.
I do hear "Oh God" a lot, Bobby. So
yeah. No, I listen to your guys' podcast. I'm on my second tour of listening to the episodes. And yeah, no, it's just it's great.
You.
It's great. I always, Monica, I always think about that story at the mall at the kiosk with that guy. I think about that story way more than I probably should.
A lot of people bring it up.
Bobby, we're supposed to bring that up in every episode. So thank you for bringing it up in this one for us.
Because I'm just like, why couldn't she just fuck him? What would have been the worst part of it? Better than hearing about it for a goddamn half hour.
I'll tell you why.
Nothing came of it. It's like, oh, come on.
I'll tell you why. Because he wanted women. He wanted his women under his thumb. That's why.
Yeah, but you could have just had sex with them and then disappeared, ghosted them. You know what I mean?
Thank you,
he can want whatever the hell he wants, but
Monica, was he good looking?
He was okay. He wasn't bad looking.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's going to remain a mystery.
We're digressing.
Yeah.
I will add one thing. I actually went back to that mall at one point for another store, and the kiosk was empty.
So it's fucking big, where Zoltar is gone.
That's right. He was gone.
Yep.
One night chance and one night only.
You had your one chance. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Well, today we're going to talk about sex conversation, or the talk, or the proverbial birds and the bees. How did our parents handle those conversations with us? How do we in turn handle them with our children, with our stepchildren, with our friends' kids, with our lovers' kids? If you're dating a person with kids, what happens there? We're going to jump into that conversation, I think, just talking about what our experiences were when we were young, and we're going to go from there.
All right.
Does anyone want to jump us off?
Yeah, I usually start it off. So I'll tell you exactly. My family did not talk about sex. So here's an example. I walked in on my parents having sex. Literally, I was that guy who walked in. My mom did not talk to me for 2 weeks. She was so embarrassed by the whole thing. It was my fault because they didn't lock the door. I walked in, they're having sex, and I didn't get talked to for 2 weeks. So right away, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what the fuck happened? Are they wrestling? What are they doing?
How old were you about?
I was just going to ask, how old were you?
I would say I was probably around 7, 8.
Okay. All right.
Ish. So I had no
old
idea what
enough
they were
to where
doing.
they couldn't hide what they were doing, but young enough to where you didn't know what they were doing.
Absolutely. I mean, I had an
Okay.
idea what they were
Yeah,
doing. I
sure,
guess I had some sort of inkling of what they were doing, but to not be talked to for 2 weeks, like literally didn't say a word to me
You
for
got
2 weeks.
punished.
This was
Yeah.
my mother. You know, when your mother doesn't talk to you for 2 weeks, that's something to be said, right? So that's
Dang,
how
I would have been like,
that's
we
how I was
have to
taught.
talk about this.
I had no choice but to learn through porn.
Yeah. I think you're in a large company with that. I think there's a lot of kids that grow up in that same situation.
Yeah. How about anybody else?
Well, I could just tell you, I had like a moment of panic because I never had the talk with my parents.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I was a late bloomer. I didn't lose my virginity till I was a senior in high school.
That's not a late bloomer, Bobby.
Not a late bloomer.
Well, I know, but like, I mean, I hear people that lost their virginity when they're like 12 years old, and I'm just like, all right, well, what wasn't I doing?
I was 13.
Oh, sorry, Monica, you were 13.
I mean, I didn't want to say names or anything, but like,
our listeners already know it's okay.
Exactly, Babu. I was pointing to her.
I learned everything on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew up in a time where the internet wasn't really a thing. It was literally Playboy magazines, and it was, stuff like that you'd see like, oh, so that's how it works.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't really have anything to base stuff off of. There was no talk for me.
Yeah. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
How about you, Tess? Did you have the talk?
Well, I can't really remember ever having a specific talk, but I know that when I was young, my mom was always willing to answer any questions my sister and I had. But I can't remember like sitting down and having like the talk. But
Okay.
the sex was a very open topic between my mom and I. And my mom and my sister. Like she was just very open and willing to talk about anything and answer all of our questions. So I don't feel like I learned everything from porn or magazines or anything else. I remember getting a book from a little pamphlet on the female body. And I remember like this whole diagram and the, vagina and all the different parts and what they do. And
what do they do? Still a mystery to me what they do.
So, because of that, I did a little experimenting on my own when I was younger. I probably wouldn't have known to do if I hadn't gotten that book. But yeah, no, I think it wasn't really a memorable sit down. But my mom was really open. My dad, no, we never talk about stuff like that. But my mom.
Shocking.
Yeah, but that changed.
Her dad is my mom's brother, so there's a real shocker there.
No. My dad, my dad now, I can talk to him about anything, like anything. But I'm not a little girl anymore that he's trying to keep pure and innocent either. So now my dad knows all about my lifestyle, and he's like my confidant, and he gives me advice and all kinds of stuff. I'm not saying we sit there and talk about sex all day, but I'm saying it's not like I can talk to him about anything. But back when I was young, he was a disciplinarian trying to keep his daughters away from guys, and you can't blame him, right? So
yeah,
I can blame him. So, Monica, how about you?
Well, to go into my history with my mother and the sex talk, I have to kind of go back into her history and how she learned it. So my family, my heritage is from Central America, very Catholic country, very sexist, misogynistic area, or, in those days. I don't know how they are now because I haven't been back there in a while. She was raised by a single dad who was very, 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 very strict. So she really didn't get the talk. And the way they talked to her about women and sex in those days is women who had sex out of marriage were whores. That was the word. They would use the expression a lot, like, oh, don't go opening up your legs to men because you lose your worth. So, of course, all these women, as you can see, I got pregnant young, and, women before me got pregnant young. They were very ashamed of their sexuality, and they had very, they like sex. So when my mother was raising me, she knew of nothing else. And so that's how she talked to me about sex. It was not like, oh, this is going to happen when you get married. It's like, oh, if you open up your legs to a man before you're married, you're going to become a whore. and you're a slut. And that's how I kind of had to talk about sex. It was very shamey. I mean, can you understand why I'm so fucked up right now and why
I'm glad your
just
mom
wouldn't go
didn't have
off?
a podcast back then, Monica.
Yeah. Yeah, she used very harsh words like, what are you opening up your legs to that guy for? You know, you're the one that did this. It was really bad.
Jesus.
It was really bad. So I didn't stop me from having sex,
Seemed
obviously.
like it fast forwarded you.
I know, but it definitely had a huge impact on how I felt about myself after I started having sex.
Oh,
It was
wow.
very, very bad for my self-esteem. And I still suffer from it, as you can see. Where, yes, Bobby, I should have gone off with that Buffy kiosk guy and not felt guilty about it.
Why
But
not?
I don't have, I still have that
The messaging is very ingrained.
messaging. Yes,
Yeah.
thanks. That's the right word in me.
So that leads me to the next question, which maybe we can just start with you since we're with you right now, is, how did the not having the talk, how did that affect your approach going forward for all of us? Like, did it make you more open? Did it make you, do you think you learned enough? Do you think you would have felt better if somebody had talked to you about it? Like, how would that have changed?
I would have felt better.
sex
I would have
life?
felt better if somebody talked to me about it. I wouldn't felt so much shame for so many years because of it.
The reason I ask that question is because some people think that you just don't talk to your parents about that stuff. You learn on your own. And I had a very different idea about that as a parent, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I think that younger people do need somebody to talk to about it. I think that it's the blind leading the blind out there.
completely
They're
agree
not-
with that.
They don't.
I
Me
agree.
too.
Yep, 100%.
It's a very human experience. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think that if parents out there are afraid to talk about that stuff with their kids, and then send them to me, I'll talk to them about it.
You already have with my son.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Be like, go call Uncle Brian.
No problem, Bubba.
Brian doesn't even wait until they ask questions. Brian just talks to them about
Brian
it.
has his own pamphlet ready to go.
I went up to test his son, and I was like, "So, you knocking anything out?" He was
Did
really
you
young
tap
at the
that
time.
yet?
You tapped that
Yeah.
yet?
And he's on the phone, and my son's just like nodding
Shaking his head.
And
like-
how old is your son?
well, he's 18 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was
I don't
like
know when you started talking to
16.
him about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You tapping that yet?"
Yeah.
I just told him, "Make sure you wrap it up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only advice you can give a kid. I mean, really.
Yeah, let him run with
Be
it.
smart. Because they're going to do it no matter how you present it to
It's
them
true.
anyway. You know what I mean? So,
That's a big deal with a lot of parents today is they feel like if they don't deal with it, it isn't happening. They just sweep it under the carpet.
Yes.
And I'm like, I remember how I was 30 years older now or whatever, 30 some odd years older now and think that that's not going to happen with my kid. And I'd rather know and advise them than have the blind leading the blind.
I agree. I remember because I was like, for me, I started off when I was dating the devil. She had a 14-year-old son. She's like, "Can you mind having to talk with him?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem."
She
So I-
asked you to?
Yeah, she did. She
That
asked me to.
surprises me because she sheltered him from that.
Well, she was one of those people that didn't let the real father, come around. I guess I was playing daddy, so it was probably the next best thing.
Yeah, but I thought she was trying to keep him blind to that
Well,
stuff.
not at this moment, because I remember saying this to
That's
him.
good.
I started with I actually am more experienced in how to try to make a baby than I am to actually to make a baby, but I'll give it a shot. And he just looked at me so cross-eyed because he was pretty sheltered, and I did not pull punches. I told him he was 14. I figured at 14, you're old enough to know now. And I told him what happens. And I didn't even use I don't want to sugarcoat things. I say, when you're in love with someone, no, because sometimes you're not in love with the person and you do make a baby.
see,
Let's
Monica?
face it,
Come
right?
on.
Yeah.
Gotta love
So
the
I told
person.
him. I told him, you have a penis. She has a vajayjay or vagina, whatever you want to call it. You're going to hear all kinds of crass words about it. Your stuff, her stuff. You insert that into there and it's going to feel really, really good. And you're going to tense up and the world, it's going to feel like your body just exploded. And then that's how sometimes you make a baby.
So what to do and what not to do, right?
Exactly. So I told him, make sure you wear a condom. Wear the condom. And I said, there's a banana outside. You want me to show you to put on that? At this point, he's really embarrassed. So he's like,
Oh, yeah.
no, I'm okay. I'm good.
They don't want to hear about it.
No,
Yeah. I don't pull punches.
they don't.
I just tell them how it is.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be, Brian. They need to know.
I agree. And I just talked to Em tonight. I told her about what the topic is. And I said, did you have the talk with with the baby yet? With the baby, she's 6 years old. She goes, yeah.
Talk? 6?
6. And I was like, oh
Wow.
my God, are you serious? I said, I got to be honest with you. I'm at 6 years old. I'm not as crass as I can be. At 6, I'm giving the stork story. I'm still on the stork story. Okay. The stork brings the baby. I'm sorry. At 6 years old,
If they ask where babies come from?
Yeah, when they ask where babies come from,
Why
I'm
can't
telling
you
them,
just say that a baby comes from their mommy's stomach? You don't have to say how it got there.
No, well, this is what blew my mind too, because I was thinking about it. She was a baby of in vitro fertilization. So it's not necessarily the penis that created this, right? It was the sperm, you know? So I was like,
I mean, that's a whole nother thing you could teach way later in life about in vitro.
I know.
But,
I agree. But I
know.
was like, a part of me wanted to throw it up, you know, like you should have told her she was hatched, you know?
She's not a velociraptor, but you know, like the way you present that, yeah.
Oh, she acts like one. Trust me.
I always said that I was never going to lie to my son. And there were times we'd be driving in a car and he'd ask a question and my husband would be like, oh, here we go. Because he knew I was going to give an honest answer. And he was brought up in a family where they didn't talk about it. Nobody gave him the sex talk. So the fact that I was so open always made him like, oh, what's she going to say now? And my son did ask that. He said, where do babies come from? And he was young. He had to be over 5, under 12. I can't even remember where he was in there, but he was young. And I said, well, do you know how boys have a penis and girls have a vagina? So he had to be old enough to know that girls had a vagina. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, their bodies fit together like puzzle pieces. And he said, oh. And I go, there's a lot more to explain about it, but that's how it's done. They love each other. Their bodies fit together like puzzle pieces, and they make a baby. And I said, is that kind of weird? And he's like, a little bit. And I said, okay, well, when you're ready to talk about it more, I'm here. And that was the end of it. Like, that was the end of the conversation at that age. But I didn't lie.
I'd be a little nervous at that point. I'd be like, well, show me how that puzzle goes together, Mom. I'd be afraid to find out what that response would be.
Well, you find a way to talk about it in a way that's not sexual, but that is like scientific, but that's true. That's what I did.
Well, Monica, you obviously had a really great sex talk with your kids because your daughter didn't have a kid till she was 30.
Well, and I'm interested too, Monica, because you've had these feelings around sex, but you had boys and you had a girl. So those are two different experiences. We're very curious to hear how you handled it.
My daughter had the worst end of it because, as I said, it took me many years to shake off those feelings of shame. And I still had those feelings when she was very young. So I never talked to her like my mother talked to me. We're like, if you open your leg, you're a whore. I never said. But I was very paranoid about her being sexually involved, because I didn't want her to end up like me, to be pregnant at 16. I was very paranoid about like telling her, if you want to have sex, don't have it. We don't want you to have a baby. And if you're going to have it, please let me know. We're going to get you the pill. I knew she was going to do it when it came time. So I wanted to make sure she was on the pill. And I did get her on the pill at a certain point. Before she turned 18, she was already on the pill. I had realized how much I had been shamed, and I did not want that for her. I never wanted her to feel like I did. Years later, I talked to her about it, and she said, you did kind of have a little bit of that attitude. But, you weren't as, she said, you obviously weren't as bad as your mom, because she never talked to me that way. But there were some remnants of how you would approach it sometimes, where it made me feel like having sex was bad.
Do you think that's because you were worried about her?
I was worried. I didn't want him to get pregnant like me.
And also, like, it's no joke that sex between two young people changes the dynamic, right? People get attached. There's more of a bond between two people after an intimate act. So I think, and then also, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of men out there, maybe present company excluded, that still think that a woman is damaged goods for the long term if you've had sex.
That's correct.
Oh, no, God, no. That's not us.
No,
but wasn't you even as a teenager that there were girls that were sluts and girls that weren't? Because
No
back
way.
then
I've
that was
sought
very
those
real
women
when I
out.
was a teenager. But Brian, for a partner or for fun, because that was a big thing when I was a teenager. Huge.
Never really thought about long term.
Yeah, but Tess, there's a segment on the internet of men who talk about this kind of stuff and put videos.
Yeah. So you protect your daughter from that too. You don't want her to become known as a loosey-goosey and then nobody wants her. And then that's very, very hurtful for her. So I think there's lots of reasons to protect your kids.
She's definitely like me. She eventually, broke loose.
That's what college is for, to reinvent yourself.
She had a lot of fun before she finally settled down. Lots of fun. And I'm really happy that she was able to have that.
She has no regrets.
I talk to her much differently now. And I'll tell her, I don't care. Don't ever let anybody tell you that your experiences are a reason for you to feel ashamed of yourself, because you shouldn't.
No way. That's what brought her to it. That's what made her who she is.
No, with my boys, I'll talk to them if they ask questions, but they never ask me questions because they found out everything through the internet.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I would hear them say something, and I'm like, you know what this is? Of course I do, Mom. I saw it on this and this. It's like, oh my God. So with that, I mostly talk about morals.
Yeah.
So morals. Well, you just blew my mind with that word, Monica. Anyway, Babu, you're going to wind up having to have this conversation with, you and Michelle are going to have this conversation. Who's going to have it?
She is.
Is it because it's her kids for the most part? Or are you too scared?
No, I'm not scared. No. The thing about Michelle is that she wants the kids to be open with her. She goes out of her way to have the type of relationship with them where they can come to her and talk about everything. And I respect the hell out of that.
That's great.
They still might not, because that's how I was with my son, and he will not talk to me about sex.
Well,
he just won't, no matter how hard I try.
Just listening to what they watch on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. Like, we were somewhere one day, and it wasn't even in a sexual way. Someone said the number 69, and Aubrey started laughing.
I still laugh.
Yeah.
She's 10?
Yeah, she's 10. You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, so she knows, she's heard what that is. She may not know what that is exactly, but she's heard it. She knows it's a sexual kind of thing. So,
Right.
I think Michelle strives to have, you can come to me about anything, no matter what it is. I try to be their buddy. I would say to them, I'll say to them, listen, you have your mom, you have your dad. If you don't want to come to them, I'm here to talk about anything, everything. No matter how uncomfortable you may think it is, I can handle it. You know what I mean? But I also have the fallback of they have a mom and a dad. So, and their dad is very present in their lives. So, it's not like I have to step into a role like they have a dad. You know what I mean? So I'm not super concerned about having to have that talk with them, because I feel like I would be at the very best third in line to have the talk with them.
I get nervous because I am like the step as well in a grand scheme of things. But I'm glad she had to talk, because I know how blunt I can be. And I get nervous about that. The thing that got me the most nervous was that, she's going to go to school and you're going to have those blue ribbon, trophy giving parents that are going to hear what she has to say to their kids when their kids go home. I learned this today from this one because her mommy's boyfriend said this. And I'm like, that's kind of my fear.
What are they going to repeat? Yeah,
exactly. Because, they repeat everything.
Mm-hmm. They do.
There were times where I talked to my son about things and I said, there's other people that don't appreciate this. There's other people that don't believe this, whatever it was, not only just sexual stuff, but just whatever. I would let him know that, even with swearing, I told him, I don't care if you swear, but if it comes out of your mouth in front of your friends' parents or your teachers, we're going to have a problem.
I say the same thing.
You have to, if you're going to talk to him, you also have to say, there's a time and a place to talk about this stuff. I mean, obviously a 6-year-old, it's a little difficult to say that, but at a certain age, they do understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get told the other day, oh, you're the role model of the year. Because I told her kid, I was like, stop being such a pain in the ass. And she's like, she's 6.
You're like, same rules apply. I don't care how old you are. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
It's funny because I said to her, one of the things that I would have loved to said, to like the boy or something. I was like, when this, a man has a penis, a girl has a vagina, he ejaculates where stuff comes out of him, and then they swim and it's a race to the finish line. Right. And sometimes all the really cool swimmers and the fast, ones, they fight amongst each other. And then that lazy ass bitch gets there finally because says, I don't need to deal with all that. And he's the one that winds up winning the race. Now, scientifically, these people are made the same way, but the asshole sometimes gets there first.
Oh my goodness. I remember when I was raising my stepsons with my husband, I asked them straight out if their mom had talked to them about it, and they said no. And I knew their dad hadn't talked to them about it. And they were watching every crude rated R movie there was. And they were really young. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is the only education they're getting about sex. And I'm like, it's just wrong that this is, I would try to tell them, like, people are doing this for entertainment's sake, but this isn't really how sex is. And I would try to and then I ended up talking to a colleague of mine at work that I could talk about anything with. And I remember saying, man, they don't want to talk to me about this stuff. And he goes, it doesn't matter who you are. If you are willing to talk about this stuff with them, you are the right person. He's like, because if I would have had somebody when I was young to talk to about this stuff, it would have made all the difference in the world, especially a woman who could tell me about women. But I would just slide in information wherever I could. I couldn't force them to talk about it.
I don't know, Tess. You don't want to be that kid hanging out, the guy outside the fence at the schoolyard talking about sex. That ain't the right person.
What are you talking about?
And they said, if you're willing to talk about it, you're the right person. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think it depends on who. There's a limit on who it can be.
No, I mean, he was just telling me it doesn't matter if you're the mom or the dad. If you're willing to talk about it, that's all he meant. And I thought was really good advice, but I couldn't force it. So the only thing I could do is tell them, you guys, this isn't real, or that there's this a lot more complicated than that, or they're just trying to make you laugh. And they're like, yeah, we know.
So here, let me throw this out. Bobby, you get now, mommy, ask mommy is not the answer. Okay, I'm going to preface this with this, right? Okay, kid comes up to you, Bobby. How do babies made? What do you say?
I think they already know.
No. I get that. But now they're coming to you. They want to know. And you can't say, ask your mother.
See, you know what it is? Because, I didn't have...
Let me ask you, are you embarrassed to talk about it yourself?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have that growing up. I never thought, where did babies come from? That's not something that ever popped into my head as an adolescent, as a teenager. You know what I mean? It just,
me either, I
never gave a shit, honestly. So, but if one of them came to me and really wanted to know, then I would sit them down and I would say, listen, when a man loves a woman, you know what I mean? And I'd be super soft about it. I would say when a man loves a woman, because I'd want it to be it's a very special thing. You're not just going to get your noodle wet. You know what I mean? No, it's something that's important between two people. And
you're losing Brian now.
No, I don't think I am. I truly think that me and Brian are cut from the same cloth. The stories you used to tell about your dad and stuff. I was actually going to ask you, could you watch a program with him where they showed nudity?
I'm gonna be honest with you, no.
Yeah, me neither. I'm gonna be 41 years old in a month, and I shit you not. I feel like if I sat down on a couch with my dad right now, and they showed a woman's breast or a sex scene, I'd feel uncomfortable as anything.
And I gotta be honest with you, it's not because of me. So my dad was the one that if somebody passed gas in the room, he'd yell at you. But my dad was a little prissy when it came to
shit private. Is that it?
Yes, he said that it keeps shit private. That's exactly what it was.
That's funny because I'm the same way with my mom. I couldn't watch an intimate or sexual movie with my mom in the room. I just couldn't.
Geez. My mom actually borrowed a teddy from me one time to go with my dad. My mom was totally opposite of your parents.
God, that's awesome.
She's like, I'm going away with your dad. What do you have? What can I borrow? I'm like, you can keep it, Mom. You can keep it.
Yeah, what can I borrow?
Seriously,
Nothing. You can have it. Yeah.
Nothing.
It's yours now.
Nothing.
Yeah. That's what I said. You can keep it.
Yeah, no, I cannot talk to my mother about sex, even till this day.
Yeah, I can, but because my mom's a little bit, my mom's not either. She's the opposite of my dad when it comes to that. My mom likes all dirty jokes, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to it took a while. Because I asked my mom not too long ago if my father was the only guy she's had sex with, and she said yes. I completely said, you're a frigging liar. There's no way on earth that you went 80, well, let's say 70 some years and not had sex with anybody else. No, honestly,
Your mom never left the house, though, Brian. How did she have the opportunity?
She was a teenager at some point, right?
Oh, you mean before your dad?
I mean, anytime. You can tell me
well,
that.
I do remember when we were there at Uncle Tony's looking through old photos, me and your mom and your sister and my dad. Every time we turned around, every photo that was getting passed of your mom in her young life, she was wearing like a bathing suit. She was always in a bathing suit. We were like,
exactly.
Dina's sister goes, Mom, what's with all the bathing suits and the heels?
Exactly. And I remember when I was growing up, when we would go to the grocery store, my mom used to dress up like crazy, heels, makeup, and everything. I mean, she bullshit me. Don't tell me you never had sex with anybody else. Don't tell me. There's no way.
Well, funny. She can't tell you. You're the son of her marriage. She can't.
Well, I know, but at some point, right?
At some point, you're old enough to hear the truth. So
exactly.
Never will.
Yeah. Especially since Pop ain't around anymore, right?
Wait, Brian, nobody will ever find out. Just take it to her grave.
Because that's what you did in that generation.
Yeah, when that kid finally shows up at my doorstep and says, I'm your son, I'm gonna tell him, you want to know who I was with?
Oh my goodness.
It's funny, a couple of weeks ago, Michelle took, Aubrey to on a Girl Scout trip overnight. So I was watching Nathan. And we get back and he starts watching a thing on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And it's a European woman saying Coke. But when she says it, it's cock. And it's just repeating and repeating. And he's watching it. And finally I go, dude. And he looks at me. I'm like, listen, I understand I'm the cool parent, but like I still have to be a parent here.
Yeah. Don't take advantage.
Yeah. And I swear to God, it was the most genuine thing I could have said to a kid in the moment. I was like, listen, you're going to watch this shit, whether I'm standing in front of you or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that you're watching this. I'd rather know what you're watching. It's just, come on, like you said, let's just chill out. Like, you don't have to play it fucking 40 times in a row in a loop. You know what I mean? So but it's true. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. Like, kids or even adults, they're gonna do something whether you want them to or not.
Fair enough. And at that age, Bobby, right? They're just so curious. They're just so unbelievably curious.
And in this day and age where everything is literally
accessible.
Just a click away, it's scary. Like when you think about it.
Even more than they're looking for.
Yes.
Like, because how the internet is, you look up one thing and then it leads you to another, to another, to another. And then they end up seeing shit that's like dark.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, to them it's all giggles and jokes and everything right now. You know what I mean? Like you hear things like like him hearing that, like it was funny. Like like you guys said before, I agree. Like when I hear 69, I giggle. You know what I mean? Like you said vajayjay before, and I'm trying not to laugh. I'm like, all right, like your demographic doesn't need to hear me giggle.
I said the actual word, but JJ is what we.
I say hoo-ha. You know what I mean? Like it's just Yeah, exactly.
Well, I prefer the more crasser terms.
So do I, but like,
I do too when the lights go out in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I'm here, I just like to chill it out. So do you ever get asked, Bobby, are you and mommy going to make a baby?
No, because I feel like, they just, because it was something that Michelle and I discussed before we even started dating. Like, she did not want to have another kid. She was happy. And like, I was just like, I'm okay with that. Like, I've been asked for so long, like even before I met Michelle, well, don't you want your kid your own? I'm like, well, no, like I have my sisters, like I have my nephews.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have like, friends that have kids. Like I'm good with that. You know what I mean? I'm good with if they start to get on my nerves, because I mean, let's face it, kids can be very fucking annoying. You know what I mean? I can just leave. You know what I mean? Like even my kids, even my kids now, like I love them, but like sometimes you need a break from them. So like when they're going to their dads, I'm like, all right, guys, see you tomorrow. Like it's just
do that with your own. Good riddance.
I called up Monica this morning and said, "You're not going to believe what happened last night."
Oh God!
But I left last night. I couldn't take it. That kid is a ball of energy, and for 4 straight hours, it was in my face, sitting on me, jumping on me. I was like, I can't take this anymore. I just can't do this.
It's tough.
Well, you just reach an age where you just don't want to deal with that anymore. So I get it, Brian.
Yeah.
Even my granddaughter, I love her to death, but comes a point where it's like, okay, bye.
There you go.
Here's mommy.
There you go.
I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you another day. Bye-bye.
So I'm going to jump off topic for just 1 second because I remember I wanted to say this to Bobby. I was listening to his the B Squared podcast, and I remember him and Michelle just had a recent episode where they talked about dating online and stuff like that, and how they met. And I remember Bobby saying that Michelle was out there, or she may have even said this, like she was out there pounding the pavement, but she wasn't looking for sex.
Yeah.
And I was like, bullshit. I was like, I don't give a shit what Bobby thinks. I don't give a shit what she says. That girl was out there.
I said it on my podcast, so it's like she can't get mad at me if she hears me say it now. Like, I tried to get her to admit that she was hoeing it up.
Oh, she was hoeing it up.
She wasn't, though.
I know you think that.
No, she has no reason to lie to me. I beg her to fucking tell me. Like, I straight up tell her, like, I think it would turn me on if you just told me. You know what I mean?
I was just going to say it's a kink.
Yeah, like, yeah. But, no. And, like, it's just, I don't know if Brian told you guys because I mentioned your podcast, that episode, because
I heard that episode.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very
because you guys nailed it. Like, explaining how easy it is to date in this day and age.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of guys nailed it, Bobby.
You're such an asshole. Like, I'm going to get in trouble for that now. Oh, God. But
well, Michelle, Brian's represented all of us in the dating world, right?
Just, you know what it is?
You've done enough swiping for all of us.
Like, it's scary. I say all the time, if it doesn't work out with me and Michelle, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm becoming a hermit.
You say that, but not like that. That's like people. That's like people that have a dog. That's like, my dog's dying.
No, I can't go.
I'm never going to own another dog, and then 2 weeks later, they got a new dog.
It's like going on fucking job interview after job interview. Like, it's just I can't.
I get it.
It is.
I can't do it.
It's
I know, but at the end of that job interview, you get pussy sometimes.
No.
You know,
it ain't worth it. No.
No, I agree, Bobby, because I'm on the dating apps right now, and I don't know how many times I've gotten ghosted or just not feeling it. And I think to myself, if I start seeing somebody and then it doesn't work out, I'm like, do I go back on the dating apps? Because they're just, it's like hell.
I've not been on the dating apps, so it's really hard for me to say anything. But by the same token, what's the alternative? You know, being alone for the rest of your life? I can't. I mean, I would want to meet people somehow. I might not do dating apps, but I'd have to do meetup groups, or I'd have to do something.
Exactly.
Because I wouldn't want to be just give up.
I get it. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to digress from the topic.
I actually wanted to ask Monica a question back on the topic. Because Monica, you had your daughter, there's a significant age difference between your daughter and your sons. I don't know if significant, but there's an age difference.
Yes. And it's a very different upbringing.
Different gender, right? So I know you said you haven't had to talk to your boys about have the sex talk because they learn everything from the internet, but have you wanted to? Like, how did you feel about the approaching it from her to them? Like, how did it change for you?
I have tried to broach it to them. I've told them many times that they can ask me whatever they want. And they're just like, no, that's okay.
Yeah. It's a boy thing.
However, there is one thing that my kids have that I just mentioned, that I cannot watch anything sexual with my mom. But they'll be watching TV. They'll both be sitting in the living room watching TV. And I go sit there and I might be on my phone. They will not change what they're watching. And I'll just sit there, like I'll be on my phone, and all of a sudden I hear something like really crazy. Like he's watching some kind of show right now. It's a cartoon, and they're constantly like fucking in the cartoon.
Wow.
What's the name of it?
I was gonna say, what cartoon is that? It might be the only kind of cartoon I like.
Exactly.
And I just look up sideways, and then I roll my eyes, and then I just look back down on my phone. I don't say anything, and it cracks them up. But like I'll hear one of them say to the other, "Just when Mom looked when she saw that cartoon, it was funny as hell." Because they like to see my reaction of like shock, but I don't ever say anything to them about not watching it. So
don't shame them.
They feel comfortable.
You don't shame them at all.
No, I do not. I have never shamed my kids for watching that stuff. So
and they don't listen to this podcast, right, Monica?
No, they know about it, but I have asked them not to listen to it.
Well,
And they said, yeah,
Okay,
maybe we
that's
don't
fair.
want to hear this stuff about you anyway, Mom.
I don't keep it a secret from my kid, but I'm like,
Yeah.
if you listen to it, you're going to hear everything you don't
I
want to
know.
hear
So
your mom talking
they
about.
actually
So
said
it's
they
up
don't
to
want to
you.
listen to it. They don't come to me right now, but they know they can, and they're not afraid to be themselves in front of me. And I like that. Progress.
You know what I think it is? I think it's just the way that we all grew up. Like, it's funny. Brian saw my post the other day. I was watching Roadhouse on Monday on my day off.
Oh yeah,
You know, I fucking love that
me
movie.
too.
Oh, great
But
movie.
I didn't see that sex scene with him and Kelly Lynch
Mhm.
until I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay, I don't remember ever seeing Roadhouse, and now you're telling me I have a reason to watch it?
Oh yeah,
Oh God, yeah. Oh
yeah.
my
It's
God,
only a
it's such a
couple
good
minutes, but like the only thing that's wrong with that
Yes.
sex scene is Kelly Lynch's face when she does that fake.
movie. Yeah.
That's the only thing that's
yeah.
wrong with it.
Yeah.
Other than that, damn.
Is it duck face?
And I have to say, it took me about watching Roadhouse about 100 times to see her face because I was too busy looking at Patrick. Okay, let's face
Same.
it, right?
Same. He is
Completely
the perfect
understand.
specimen.
I love Swayze.
So do I. Growing up, you could only rent that at a video store. You couldn't watch that on your phone or on DVD or whatever. So, like, the only time I got to watch that movie is when my dad would go down to Blockbuster and rent it. And I shit you not, if I watched it with my dad, even when I was in high school, close your eyes.
Oh, my dad
You
used
know
to
what I
say
mean?
the same
Close your
thing.
Yeah.
eyes.
Because I grew up on,
Like-
my dad used to watch Benny Hill all the time. Now I know I'm really dating myself. But every time my dad would crack up, I'd say, what does that mean? He's like, I'll tell you when you're older.
Ugh.
He would never, he wasn't going to tell me, right?
No. Yeah.
It's kind of funny with my dad because my dad was always like into the ladies. Always was into the ladies, and he never made
Literally.
any secret of it. I mean, we watched Solid Gold during dinner when we had a no TV at the dinner table
Gold.
because he
I have
didn't
no
watch
idea
the
what that is.
dancer. Yeah, probably not. He
No, I
wanted to
don't.
see the dance.
no idea.
Fan show.
Okay.
I love that show.
But by the same token, my sister and I weren't allowed to watch Three's Company because it was too sexually suggestive. He was like super outspoken about how much he liked the ladies, but yet he was trying to shelter us about sexual content because the more familiar you become, the more curious you become or what have you. Even when I went to visit him in Vegas because he got into the casino industry later in life, I would go in to visit him and there'd be girls dancing up on platforms. And he'd look at me and he'd go, see why I like my job? You know, like,
But you
It was-
couldn't watch Jack Tripper.
but I couldn't watch Jack Tripper when I was
Exactly.
younger
Yeah,
because he was
like,
trying to keep my sister and I innocent and pure, you know?
Yeah.
That works well.
Yeah.
I should say that worked well.
Well, yeah. And well, there's, my sister and I really threw him for a loop. So both ended up being a little bit left of center.
Good question just got brought up. It doesn't apply to me because, but has anybody caught their kids? Now, Bobby, this isn't probably going to apply to you either. But have you caught your kids masturbating?
Or did your parents ever
Are you
catch you?
cleaning socks that are stiff?
They wash their own clothes. I do not wash their clothes.
Taking long showers?
I ask no questions
No.
when they take long showers because I have 2 teenage boys and I'm the one that takes the shortest showers in the house.
Wait. Monica, did you say they do take long showers?
Oh, yes, they do.
Oh, that's absolutely where it happens. Come on. My son would take the longest showers and he'd lock the door, and he never locked the door to his room because he didn't have a lock on his door. So that's where it happens.
Whenever all of us have to go somewhere, we have to take a shower, I tell them, I'm going first because I'll be out fastest.
Yeah.
I don't want to slip on anything.
No. Oh God.
So, okay, Bobby can attest to this, right? The minute sperm hits hot water, it becomes glue. Okay, so you better go first, Monica.
Okay, good.
I'm sitting here trying to think about that. Have I ever noticed that before?
I've never noticed
Yeah.
it.
Go tell your husband to go rub one out in the hot shower, then look at it afterwards. It's going to clog the drain.
He's done it, I'm sure. I'm trying to remember if I was ever there for that. Have I ever experienced that?
So, Bobby, you never got walked in on as a kid? Nothing like that?
Not from what I remember.
Did you have your own room growing up?
No. Well,
I
you got to
didn't either.
understand. You got to understand. Like, I grew up in Brooklyn, and we lived in what was called a railroad apartment,
Okay.
where there were no doors.
Oh,
You had a door to the apartment. You had a door that closed the bathroom, and then there was a door for like the spare bedroom, which they gave to my sister, obviously.
okay, gotcha.
So
Yeah.
everything was open.
Okay.
Me and my brother, like, our bedroom was literally right next to my parents' bedroom, and there was no door.
So you didn't even wake up at like 2:00 in the morning and like kind of peek around?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Like you don't.
Well,
you can.
I
still
shared a
do
room
it.
with 2 brothers.
You can still do it on the down low.
Exactly.
but also I often think about the fact that my parents didn't have any privacy either. You know what I mean? Because like me and my brother were literally 10 feet away from them.
That sucks as
Yes.
parents. That's all I
Yeah.
can say about that. That sucks.
How old were you when you guys moved away from there?
So I was 19.
Oh wow, so you lived there
So you
all
moved to
through
Jersey
puberty.
when you were 19?
Yeah. So
Yeah, you were
know.
there all through puberty then. Wow.
And it's funny because like eventually my sister moved out and then my brother took over her room. So I was still in that room. So like he got the private because I didn't want the room to myself. Like
You didn't want
it
the
was-
temptation of touching yourself, Bubba?
No, well, yeah, yeah. Like looking back on it, I'm like, why the fuck didn't I want that? But
But where did you? The bathroom, right?
yeah, the bathroom.
The bathroom, yeah.
And
Comes
it's
down to
funny,
that.
like I had a member of my family text me one time about their son, and they're like, he's in the bathroom all the time. Do you think he's doing that in there? I'm like, what the fuck else do you think he's doing in there?
Oh my
Like,
god.
come on. It makes me think like, did my parents know what I was doing in the bathroom all the time?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Because I was in
They
that
did.
bathroom sometimes 2 to 3 times a night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they
Yep,
did.
yep.
I'm
They
surprised
did.
they didn't send me to the doctor because I was shitting all the time. You know what I mean? No, they didn't do that because they knew I wasn't shitting.
There were times where my son would have the bathroom water going and the shower, and then it's going and it's going and it's going and it's going, and then all of a sudden I hear the toilet flush. From like
Yeah. You see, I couldn't
It's
do
always-
that. Yeah.
That's my life, Tess. That's my
I'm
life.
like, are you sitting on the toilet masturbating, or are you? What are you
Listen,
doing?
when you come, you're not thinking straight, all right?
Exactly.
So, like,
You're right.
yeah, like,
You're not thinking
not,
straight.
Yeah.
You're contorted.
Yeah,
you're all
yeah.
that
You
stuff.
forget your own lie. Like, oh, fuck, I'm supposed to be taking a shower.
Just don't run the water. I tell him, just don't run the water. So you're ready to get in.
My situation is where like I hear the shower going and going and going, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, well, once the water goes off, it's going to be a while because they have to dry off. No, the water turns off and they get out of the bathroom in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. So they're already done. They're just masking the sound.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Fully dressed, I might add.
I mean, here's the thing. Who could blame you guys? Like, I can't blame you guys. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
and
Like,
like that's you think
I mean,
about
women
it.
in the friggin' tub spigot, we're friends.
But here's the thing. I've always respected their privacy. They each have their
Right.
own rooms.
I did the
I
same.
never walk in on their room. I always knock before I go into their room.
I
Or
did
I
the
say,
same.
can
I
I
did
come
the
in?
same. Yeah.
So
Knock
it's
and delay,
why
right,
do
Monica?
they
It's
just
like-
do it?
I would be mortified.
Why?
Delay.
Yeah.
I don't even delay. I say, hey, I'm coming in. But like,
But I
I
did say
wonder,
to my
like, why can't
husband,
they just use their room? Why do they have to use the shower?
Because it's easy cleanup.
That's right.
I guess.
I did say to my husband, though, when my son moved out to college, I said, our water bill's going to go down big time.
If it goes up, then you know what's going on.
Yeah.
I had to stay in a room with 2 brothers.
Yeah.
So you had to be a ninja when you rocked one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah,
You learn how to become really quiet, don't you?
Speedy.
yeah, you had to be quiet. Even like at the end when you had to like hold your breath and then like
Yeah,
let
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're like this. You didn't want anybody to hear that big
Yeah.
exhale.
It's more
Yeah.
like a
Exactly.
People wonder why you get such good breath control for swimming.
yeah.
Oh my god! But yeah, like I thought about like the socks and everything. Oh
Yeah.
god! You know, you get done with your socks. They look like they could walk across the room. They look like they were
Yep.
starched.
Yeah.
Yes, it was always a sock. The poor sock, right? Doesn't get enough credit.
Not Kleenex, not and keep a box of
And we
Kleenex
can
out of
afford Kleenex.
No, but I will say this, like, I do run out of paper towels really quick around here.
that. Yeah, right, you do. Because women,
There
we
you
don't
go.
need
I
that
found-
cleanup. So.
Uh,
Oh my God, that's.
but
so
there's
funny.
like the other side of that because it's so easy for a boy or a guy.
Yeah.
So you like asking Monica and Tess, like, how hard, like a girl can't just go into the bathroom and do that in 3 minutes like a guy can. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
it takes you a little longer than 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
sitting on the toilet is not an optimal
That
position.
too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Like I'm better off flat on my back. To be
Well,
honest.
no, trust me, we are too. Don't get me wrong. Or, jerking off when you were a kid, no matter where you are, but standing there and getting the shivers, like, and you're like, it wasn't as comfortable as when you were laying down doing it, You felt like your legs were going to buckle and everything.
And especially in the bathroom where the mirror is, you're literally seeing yourself.
You're looking at yourself.
Yeah. Like,
you got to see your own face,
which is
Bobby,
the
right?
least fucking sexy thing you could be looking at as you're coming. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Oh my God.
Oh my God,
God, I
that's
should have brought posters into the bathroom.
uh,
I don't know why I didn't use the bathroom more.
See, nowadays you bring your phone into the bathroom.
The bathroom
Yeah.
works for women too because like I said, the tub spigot was my friend, so nobody could
Especially
hear
if
it.
you had one of those shower head ones where you could pull it off and you could
No,
just
you just throw your hips right underneath that tub spigot. You just throw your hips. You like hurt your body getting into contorted positions to get into the right place, but nobody can hear you and nobody's going to walk in on you. And so, I mean, girls do it too. It's not with the frequency that the guys do it, I think. And I think it's really easy for women to be stealth under the covers because with men, the jerking off motion is a lot more obvious than girls.
Well,
Exactly. Like you get a little miniature person on a pogo stick under your blanket, right?
It's a little easier for women.
the same, thing applies. Like, I'll do it now. And then the next morning, Michelle would be like, "Did you have fun last night?" I'm like, "Oh, you heard that?" And she looks at me like, "Dumbass, I'm literally laying right next to you." Like,
oh my God.
No, I just wake her up, Bobby. No, you don't want to wake her up?
No, because she's sleeping,
90% of my masturbatory activities are next to my sleeping husband, and it never wakes him up. Because I asked
Maybe
him.
he just doesn't say anything.
No, he would tell me. He tells me if he knew, he would tell me. It'd be a turn on.
Well, now it probably sounds like I'm having an asthma attack while I'm laying next to her. So, she's probably worried that I'm like dying or something. So that's probably what wakes her up. You know what I mean? More than anything.
I know, Bobby. Sometimes I think that's the only exercise I get too.
Oh my God, that's
I need a
hilarious.
I always wonder why my arm isn't the size of like John Cena's on my right side and like, Maggie Q's on the left.
So let me ask you this because I think this is like, did anybody ever let the kids sleep in the bed with you?
I've never done that with my kids in the bed.
No. I've never let the kids into the bed because that was me and my husband's sanctuary. So I never did that. But a lot of people do.
Oh no, I had to deal with the devil with the kid. That kid be latched onto her titty the whole time. I'd still knock it out from behind. So it didn't bother me.
She was breastfeeding while you were doing doggy style?
It was side style.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
You got to remember though, I was only going out there for a week at a time, so I had to get as much in as I could.
Get as much as you could, yeah.
Yeah, I told you in one of the last episodes that kid's going to be set for earthquakes. He's not going to even flinch.
I think it started because when we first got together, the stepkids didn't crawl in bed with us. I wasn't mommy, They were 2 and 4 and they never crawled in bed with us. And then my son came along and he got to a certain age where he was like, why do you and daddy get to sleep together, but I have to sleep alone? Like he asked that one time in the middle of the night. The first thing when he started waking up in the middle of the night, I'm like, it's dark outside, mommy's sleeping. So you can play in here if you want, but you have to be in your room. And then I got the question, why do you and daddy get to sleep together, but I don't? So I answered that too. And he never asked again, but it just never became a thing.
What was your answer to that? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I think it was just,
Because daddy's knocking it out.
I think I just told him that's what you do. You have your own space when you're growing up. And then when you get older and you meet a partner and you build a life together, something like very simple.
Like, do we need to have the how babies are made conversation again?
Yeah.
No, this one was before that one. But no, I think it was just, that this is your space. And as you're growing up, you have your own space. And then eventually you share your space. That kind of a thing. He wasn't lonely. He was just waking up because he was bored, So I just tell him, you have your toys. Well, as soon as it's light out. And it was funny too, because he was little and I had a monitor in the room and everything. And he would stay in his crib or his bed, even after he had no crib. He would stay in his bed and play with his toys until I came to get him in the morning.
That is so cute.
The kid never got up and started opening the door and come out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was so lucky with him.
Bobby, your kids or Monica, did your kids jump into bed with you?
Oh yeah, after I got separated, they did.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like if they watch a scary movie,
Yeah.
I mean, again, like what's scary to them isn't what's scary to us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're expecting that on nights like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It bothered me in the beginning, but like now it's just like whatever.
Yeah. It still bothers me. Every morning, not every morning, when I'm over there, that kid is religious about coming into that bedroom at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Religious. And I tell her all the time, you need to put a stop to this. This can't happen all the time. I'm sorry. She has to learn to stay in her bedroom. And she's like, I know, but no, I don't know.
Well, it's just the two of them for so long that she
Yeah.
didn't have barriers from her.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
I
that's-
get it,
yeah.
but she needs to stop it now.
And I
It's
learned,
been long enough.
because again, we'd get into arguments, fight about it. She's comfortable with that. So
Yeah.
I'm the
A
one
lot of
with the
women
issue.
are.
I'm
Me
the one
too.
with the issue, not
I
them.
get it.
You know what I mean?
A lot of women
I know,
are.
Bobby.
Yeah.
We're the
Yeah.
ones that chose women with kids,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I get it.
Yep.
I understand it.
Yep.
But the thing
You
is,
know?
is if they don't stop that, then you're always prioritizing the children over your relationship.
Exactly. That's
And
what
that's
I tried
really
to say.
hard on a relationship. You have to have boundaries from even people you love,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you can still comfort and love your kids without letting them rule every one of your experiences.
Yeah. Because, at night when we're together, we're having sex at night. So I want to sleep naked. I don't want to get up and go do anything. I want to stay there. I don't want to put anything on. But now I got to get out, clean up a little, put some shorts on because I know that sooner or later that kid's going to be jumping into
Yeah.
bed,
Yeah.
So I'm like, tell her not to come in. Yeah, it's an uphill battle right now.
Yeah, you're changing 6 years of habits. That's difficult.
I get it. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring us down.
I think I start especially, once I moved in with them and everything, like I think about like these things that are going to be happening in the future. Like
Yep.
I'm fully prepared for when, he gets to the age where he starts to go into the bathroom. I'm going to be standing outside that bathroom like a fucking bouncer with the ear thing and be like, it's being used right now. Please go away.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Leave
mean?
him alone.
I thought you meant to like give him shit. I was like, why wouldn't you support him there?
Yeah, no.
You're
Like
totally
I'm
gonna
gonna be
support
like,
him.
this is his time. Go away.
I'm gonna be a bouncer.
I'm going to
That's
get
awesome.
Bobby like a one of them orange bibs and two of those like fluorescent
Yep,
cones at the
that you
airport.
don't, like,
They could just
yeah,
move
yep,
everything
yep.
along.
You just need a house with multiple
Yeah.
bathrooms. That's all.
Well, it's funny. Me and Michelle were having a conversation Sunday morning in the bathroom. Like we weren't in there. Like we were literally just in the bathroom talking with the door closed. And all of a sudden there's a knock and we open the door and Aubrey's like, is it all right if I go? Are you guys done talking? I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, yes, absolutely, as you should. And like I just couldn't help but think like we couldn't find another place to talk. Like this is where we had to have this conversation. Like I'm like the poor girl's probably had a pee for like the last
He's
10
probably-
minutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you got to admire and respect for the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, that's funny.
So going into discussion of bathrooms, I have 2 main bathrooms in my house. And so I've assigned each one of the boys a bathroom, one upstairs, one downstairs. I kid you not. I went to the fucking gym. They were in the bathroom. I came back from the gym. They were still in the bathroom.
Oh my god.
God damn.
All right, Monica,
And then-
which bathroom has less toilet paper on the spool?
Well, how does that
No.
work for you, Monica?
Well, I went to the gym thinking, okay, when I get back from the gym, I'll take a shower, but the showers weren't
I mean,
ready.
wouldn't
Well,
you?
you
I had to-
are sharing with one of
And
them.
the funny,
or both
the
of them.
funny part is that I can actually text them while they're in the bathroom, like, "Are you going to be done soon?" And I get a response right back. So I
Not
don't know
in
what
the shower.
doing.
the whole
But then they got
time.
to start all over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
no.
Now they got
fucking
Mom,
mom
mom's
just
voice in their
texted
head.
me. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, she gave them the hours she was at the gym. If they're not done by now, it's their
Yeah,
fault.
Jesus
Is all I gotta
Christ.
say about that, right? That's funny.
Well, I would like to thank Bobby for B Squared Burns
you
to come
so
out
much, Bobby.
and join us tonight. It was
Absolutely.
wonderful seeing
Oh,
you again,
We hope
Babu.
you
Yeah.
come back for
Remember,
another
No,
topic.
this is super
No
fun.
more.
guys.
This is my old boss. This
Yeah,
is
this
just Brian
yeah.
from now
Well,
on. All right,
Monica
we got
too.
this going
I mean,
forward.
Monica was technically
Yes.
my boss too.
Just Monica.
But this is
Yeah,
Monica.
all right,
That's
so
it.
Monica
Just
and
Monica
Brian.
and Brian.
Just
now.
Monica now.
So, like I said, give our love to Michelle. Thank you for coming out and sharing your
Will
wisdom
do.
on parenting your limited experience on parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for our listeners out there, I think an important message to take away from this episode is, don't be afraid to talk to your kids about sex. They deserve the
Mm-hmm.
education. They deserve to not be leading the blind out there. And
Yep. Do
if
not
you
be
don't-
afraid to message me and ask
And
me what I would say.
yeah, right.
never, ever,
Yeah.
never, ever, ever shame them
No.
That's right,
for being
Monica.
sexual.
Because if you pretend it's not happening, you're just in the dark. It's happening.
Well, I always think I'd rather talk to them myself than have them learn something on TikTok from these random people. You know what I mean?
This
yes.
is my point.
Yeah.
This is
'Cause
totally
they're gonna
my
learn it
point.
one way or
Bobby,
another.
it's
They're
still
going
better.
to learn it no matter what.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Well, cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks again, Babu.
Talk to you guys later.
Talk
All
to you
right.
later,
Okay.
Bobby.
Bye.
That's our episode for today. Shout out to our producer D, who keeps us publishing week after week. To our listeners, hope you enjoyed today's frank discussion on having the sex talk. Did we miss anything on this subject? Email us at 2.5chickspod@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at 2.5chicks. Is there a subject you'd like to hear us discuss? Do you want to be a guest on our show? We love bringing guests on to talk about the topics they recommend. All you have to do is email us to set it up. Season 2 is still going. Come back soon. Bye.